Hey guys, so today I just got off watching a Filipino show called Jessica Soho. Jessica Soho is a Filipino platform that is based on Filipinos and the Philippines. I just watched the flood that happened in the Philippines recently. So the flood happened in the Manila area and it left a lot of damage. So in the show, they were talking about how they can solve the flood in the Philippines. Or should they just accept that the Philippines is prone to flood? And they were saying that Filipinos should just accept that the floods in the Philippines are inevitable. They were saying that yes, the flood is inevitable, but at the same time, it's preventable. So as for my opinion about the floods in the Philippines, I think that floods or any disasters in the Philippines will never ever stop. In fact, it will only get worse. However, the Philippines or the Filipinos can prevent deaths because as you know, whenever there is a disasters in the Philippines, there's always death that will occur. And obviously, we cannot stop or control natural disasters, right? However, the Philippines can change tremendously if they have the right mindset. The problem with the Philippines, and please Filipinos, do not get mad or do not get offended. Because if you get offended and refuse to have an open-minded, the Philippines will never change. I believe that the reason why the Philippines is not improving is because of many reasons. Number 1 is religion. Number 2 is corruption. Number 3 is lack of education, and number 4 is close-minded people. Religion in the Philippines is preventing a lot of change in the Philippines. Religion is preventing divorce and religion is preventing sex education. If there is no divorce, many family will experience mental health. Why is that? Because a lot of Filipinos in the Philippines force themselves to stay together even though their relationship with their spouses are so unhealthy. And when you are forcing yourself to stay together because according to the religion, you must stay together till death do us part, what would happen is it will affect a lot of children. And that is when we start building our trauma that will lead to mental health. Another thing is if we're not allowing sex education, more and more family will not have control when it comes to making babies. Because me growing up in the Philippines, we Filipinos were conditioned to make a lot of babies. Because apparently, according to the Bible, we're supposed to multiply. So the more population in the Philippines, the more disasters will occur. It doesn't matter how much budget you have to improve the Philippines, but if you don't have the system to control making babies, then you can never prevent any disasters because controlling it is very challenging. So that's religion. So now here comes the corruption. So obviously corruption is one of the biggest part why the Philippines is not improving. Whoever is controlling the Philippines, obviously they are so good of corrupting the Filipino minds. You see, mindset. You have to set the mind in order to control and corrupt it. It's called programming. And the number 1 ingredient of corrupting the Filipino's mind is through the food. A lot of Filipinos are consuming food that is corrupting their mind and brain. When your brain is corrupted, it is easy to control. And when it comes to lack of education, now I'm not talking about finishing a degree or finishing college or university. I'm talking about many Filipinos refuse to have an open mind. A lot of Filipinos were conditioned to just focus on reading the Bibles only. A lot of Filipinos use their phone to just dance, argue, gossip, and fight, rather than using their phone to educate themselves. Filipinos have a lot of potential to improve their lives, especially their mind. If they use their phone to improve their lives and their mindset, then yes, Philippines has a lot of chances to get better. And obviously, they don't want to do that. Now, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying a lot of them. A lot of Filipinos would just rather to distract themselves rather than fixing themselves. And you cannot expect God to make changes in the Philippines if you yourself is refusing to make a change. Just because you pray and pray, it doesn't mean God will answer your prayers. In fact, a lot of Filipinos in the Philippines are worshiping the wrong God. And that's the reason why no matter how much you pray, God will never answer your prayers. That's all I can say, and that is my opinion. Can you explain the Spanish history in the Philippines? Sure. So growing up in the Philippines, I do remember the teacher teaching the Spanish history in the Philippines. But of course, that was a long time ago. But most of it, I don't remember because I feel like I was too young to even put it in my head or to even remember it in my brain. But I feel like in school, especially in the Philippines, they don't really teach you everything in terms of history. And I feel like the subjects that they teach us in the Philippines, especially in school, it's been filtered, meaning they did not teach us everything about the history. There are things that they hid from us from knowing the truth. And of course, later on in my life, since I came here in Canada, I discovered or learned a lot of things about history, especially the Spanish colonization in the Philippines. So from what I've learned, Spaniards came and colonized the Philippines for over 350 years, who ruled by Ferdinand Magellan, who was a Portuguese explorer representing the Spain. When Magellan came to the Philippines, he brought a lot of Mexican slaves with him. And hence why a lot of Filipinos' last name is Mexicans, not Spaniards. And I know that this is an ugly truth that a lot of Filipino will never accept. And during the colonization of the Spaniards in the Philippines, Spaniards were not nice at all. Remember this, Filipinos, okay? They were not nice to Filipinos. They were torturing our Filipino ancestors. They were brutal to our Filipino ancestors. Now, I'm not sure what they called Filipinos then because obviously Spaniards named Philippines after King Philip. And that is why we called Philippines Philippines and we called Filipino Filipina as people. And as far as I know, the Philippines used to be called Archipelago before it became Philippines. Now, before the Spaniards came to Archipelago to rule and colonize the archipelago, the people in the archipelago used to have a different religion or different belief. There was no Catholic in the archipelago then. Spaniards or Europeans traveled all over the world, not just the Philippines, to colonize and steal lands from its people, and at the same time to oppress their religion and their belief, meaning they are forcing the people in archipelago to convert into Catholicism. Remember this, Filipinos. Remember this, kababayan. Our ancestors were brutally forced to convert into Catholic. And if you don't convert to Catholic, you will get this. And at the same time, they also perform torture. Remember, Filipinos, our ancestors were forced and tortured so that we will accept Catholic religion. And we must remember, Igorot tribes were the only tribes who refused to accept the Catholic religion because Igorot tribes had their own belief, and that's the reason why they fought back. And obviously, everything is a history. Moving on to now, which is the present, the result of the colonization is obviously religion. And a lot of Filipinos believe that they have Spanish blood even though they don't. A lot of Filipinos' last names are actually Mexicans, not Spaniards. Because remember, Spaniards brought Mexican slaves to the Philippines. And that is why Filipinos, if you want to know your real identity, know who your ancestors are. Our ancestors went through hell during the Spanish colonization. And if you want to get out from the belief system that you currently have, you can simply just start over and learn the history from the very beginning. Because I'll promise you, you'll thank me later. You might not like the result, but it's actually the truth.